The story kicks off with Lame, a super shy girl starting at a new school. But instead of walking in like a normal human being, she's literally parkouring across rooftops like she's auditioning for a ninja movie. Why? Because she's trying to avoid Gene, the popular guy who, for reasons unknown, seems to make her life his personal hobby. Just when it looks like she's about to get caught mid-rooftop mission, Lame slips. Classic main character timing, but boom, Gene catches her, and just like that, sparks fly. Not subtle sparks either. We're talking full-on, emotional fireworks. Gene pulls her close, basically like, hey, maybe don't run from me, and holds her in a moment that screams romance loading. But of course, this is a drama, so peace doesn't last. Lame isn't about to let people see them together, so they go their separate ways like two people pretending they didn't just have a cinematic moment. Next stop, the bus. Lame secretly tries to snap a picture of Gene, but instead of being smooth about it, she calls him a little ugly duck, but like. In a weirdly affectionate way. Gene sits next to her anyway, falls asleep, and casually lets her rest on his shoulder like it's the most natural thing in the world. Translation? This boy is down bad. But in public, oh, he switches up suddenly, he's back to being a menace. He pranks her by sticking a photo of her on her back while she walks into school like everything's fine. Until everyone starts laughing. She has no idea why, which somehow makes it worse, until she finds the photo and realizes Gene took it while she was asleep. Yeah, she's furious. In full rage mode, she tears up his notes, and the look Gene gives her, ice cold. That moment hits especially hard because it brings back memories. Turns out Lame was bullied a lot as a kid, like, full-on had to fight boys just to survive school, kind of bullied. So naturally, she blames Gene for everything going wrong in her life. Even when he randomly gives a surprisingly deep speech like he's in a TED Talk, she brushes it off, calling him boring. But meanwhile all the other girls are like, he's so cute. I'd kiss him right now. And yeah, Lame gets jealous. She won't admit it, but it's there. Trying to get her confidence up, she practices talking in an empty room. But instead, chaos happens. She trips, pulls down a curtain, and suddenly there's a policeman chasing her, like she just committed a crime. She escapes but leaves her camera behind. Enter Gene, who picks up the camera and takes the blame like an unexpected hero. But plot twist, Lame ends up locked inside. She begs Gene for help. And this man just stands there laughing and taking pictures of her struggling. Savage. They eventually get caught, and the principal punishes both of them. But as they leave, Lame trips again. Gravity really has a problem with her, and Gene suddenly switches back to soft mode, kneeling down, and tying her shoelaces so gently that people nearby start whispering, wait. Are they dating? Meanwhile, in a totally different lane, some thugs try to mess with Gene's father. But his dad handles it in the most unexpected way possible, by hugging them so painfully that they run away. Yes, weaponized hugs. But despite that, Gene and his father clearly have issues, so Gene walks away from him. And guess what? Those same thugs come back, this time for revenge against Gene. They beat him brutally, kick after kick, no mercy, and that's when we find out something shocking: Gene has a metal leg. Still, he calls them cowards, even when they're about to hit him with an iron rod. Lame shows up. She steps in front of him and tells them to back off. She offers her hand to help him up. But Gene refuses. He doesn't want her to see him like that. One thug goes after Lame, but Gene jumps in front of her, taking the hits like a human shield. Love level unlocked. Then things escalate fast. Gene almost stabs a guy in the eye with a pen, completely losing control. Until Lame stops him. She hugs him tightly, grounding him. After that, Gene takes her to his house and gently asks her not to cry. Because seeing her sad hurts him more than anything. Yeah, he's gone, but they decide to keep everything that happened a secret. But then his leg starts hurting badly, and Lame immediately calls an ambulance. And here comes the emotional bombshell. Gene lost his leg at 9 years old in a car accident, and the driver was Lame's father. To save his life, doctors had to amputate his leg. And from that moment on, her father promised to always protect him. That's also when Gene met Lame. And she became the light in his life. After learning the truth, everything changes. They make peace and start going to school together. Naturally, rumors explode. Everyone thinks they're dating now. Soon, a group of girls hand Lame love letters meant for Gene, asking her opinion of him. She plays it cool like she doesn't know. But deep down, she kind of wishes she did. When Gene casually places a hand on her shoulder, her heart starts racing like crazy, and when she reads one letter where a girl says she wants to do questionable things with him, yeah, jealousy hits hard. Later, some guys start making fun of Gene's metal leg, calling him names. Lame has had enough, so she creates the most chaotic revenge plan ever. She sends those guys fake love letters with a meeting address. They show up expecting romance. and instead, get locked in a room. Then Lumio shows up, pretending to be a ghost, and scares them so badly, they literally lose control of their bodies. And just to make her point clear, she threatens their future family line using an apple as a demonstration. Terrifying, effective, but does Jean thank her? Nope, so she gets mad again. Eventually, he apologizes, teasing her about their height difference in a soft, playful way. And they make up. Then Lumio gives him her childhood amulet, the one that protected her during her bullying days. He refuses, knowing how important it is to her. But she secretly slips it into his bag. Anyway, when he finds it later, he falls even harder for her. And just when things seem stable, enter the new guy Sitch. He's a total Naruto fan, just like Lumio, so of course they instantly connect. He clearly likes her, and she gets shy around him. Meanwhile, Jean is stuck studying at another school, far away. Saiche tries to impress her by joining the basketball team, but his strict principal father shuts it down. So naturally, he rebels by dyeing his hair red. Lumio calls Jean but hides the fact that she met someone new, and surprise, it turns out Sitch was the one who saved them from the thugs earlier. Meanwhile, Jean wins a chemistry competition thanks to Lumio's amulet, but then he sees a photo of her with Sitch, and yeah, jealousy hits like a truck. He rushes to her school, acting different, more attentive, more intense. Lumio notices immediately. She also finds out he kept her amulet. He admits he'd never let it go. Not even if someone tried to steal it. Then comes another challenge. Why, the smartest guy challenges Jean to a chemistry exam. Lumio worries he'll fail and get embarrassed. So she tries to learn chemistry. Fails miserably. And decides the only logical solution is to steal the exam answers with Sitch. But of course, Jean sees them eating ice cream together first and walks away, jealous again. That night, Lumio and Sitch sneak into school and steal the answers. But a policeman shows up. They barely escape. Sitch gives her the answers, and Jean immediately tears them up, because he refuses to cheat. The principal finds out anyway, and they all get punished. After that, they study together. Lumio gets so tired she falls asleep, and Jean uses the opportunity to literally write notes on her face so she can study while admiring her beauty. Romantic, questionable, cute, somehow yes. But Jean pushes himself too hard, no sleep, constant studying, until he gets a fever. His leg pain gets worse too. He still takes the exam. Barely holding on. Seeing him like that, Lumio takes him to a special place that helps him forget everything, a place filled with peace. And her. But on the way back, someone steps on his metal leg on the bus. That's it, Lumio decides she needs a new solution. So she steals a bike, and teaches herself how to ride it, falling over and over again, but refusing to give up. All for him. Jean sees her with Psychich and assumes the worst, that she likes him. But in reality, she's just using Psychich as a test dummy because he weighs the same as Jean. Eventually, Sitch accidentally reveals the truth. Jean runs to her, ready to finally confess and kiss her. But when he gets home, reality hits again. His father is drunk. They argue about money. His father says all he has left is a beer. So Jean leaves, and runs straight back to Lumio, the only place where he feels calm. She teases him, tries to hug him, but Jean refuses. Back at Jean's house, something unexpected happens. His parents are actually happy to see him with Lumio. Like, genuinely excited. It's warm, it's wholesome, it's everything Lumio is not used to. And that hits her hard, because while they're smiling and laughing like a normal family, hers feels like a complete mess. She quietly wishes she could have that kind of happiness too. Later, she talks to Jean through his window because apparently doors are optional in this relationship, and the two ride off together on the bike. And yes, Jean is very aware of, let's just say, Lumio's strong presence while riding. But then comes the reveal. Jean already knew how to ride a bike. Yeah, he played her. He just didn't say anything, so she'd stay close to him. Close enough for him to feel her heartbeat smooth. Absolutely slightly evil also, yes. Soon after, Jean spots Lumio hanging out with Psychich at school, and he's had enough. He walks up like, so what is this, you guys, friends? Or something more? Psychich completely ignores him, which only makes things worse. Jean wants to swing badly but somehow holds it together. Instead, they compete the classic way, for Lumio's attention. Jean jumps into Lumio's favorite game and uses the opportunity to absolutely humble Sitch. Sitch watches, defeated and jealous, while Jean quietly reclaims his spot. Lumio quickly clears things up, he's just a friend. And just like that, Jean's soul is at peace again. Then Lumio steals one of Jean's earphones, bold move, but Jean instantly plays a love song just for her. And yeah, her heart melts on the spot. The next day, a new player enters, the popular DF. Her shoes are broken, so she casually sits next to Jean like, oops, I can't get up. Lumio walks in, sees them way too close, and instantly goes into defensive mode. She tells DF to move, that's her spot. Jean tries to explain the situation, but Lumio's already in her feelings, convinced DF is the new girlfriend. DF, being messy, asks straight up, "Are you in love with him?" Lumio, immediate denial, zero hesitation, maximum embarrassment. But over the next few days, something changes. She starts noticing how Jean looks at her, the way his eyes light up, the way he treats her differently, and boom, it hits her, she's in love. Now she can even look at him for more than 5 seconds without glitching like a broken app. Trying to confirm things, Lumio asks Jean what kind of girl he likes. He says, big eyes, cute, smile. And Lumio immediately thinks, DF, ouch. But then he adds, the most important thing is that she has a big heart. Like Lumio. And just like that, her system reboots. Nervous and flustered, she tries to snatch back a poem she wrote, but suddenly they're way too close. Like almost a kiss close, she panics and runs home, completely in love, staring at Jean's photo, like it's a heated romance novel. Now she wants to glow up, so naturally, she steals her mom's makeup and goes full influencer mode. Except the results are questionable at best. Sitcha sees this and thinks she's doing it for him, so he starts spying on her like a lovesick detective. Meanwhile Jean, he's not impressed, so Lumio upgrades her plan, tighter clothes from a tailor to highlight her figure. And it works. Every guy notices instantly. But Jean, he corners her and tells her not to act like an adult. That breaks her top. She starts crying and declares she's going to hate him forever. Later, Jean realizes she's still wearing the hair clip he once gave her, so he goes to buy her a new one. At the store, he runs into DF, who helps him pick it out a little too warmly. But when it's time to give it to Lumio, he freezes. Because the way she looks at him now, pure hostility, so they walk to school in silence. Then the uniform supervisor tells Lumio to tie her hair up, perfect timing. Jean steps in and gives her the hair clip. She reminds him, I thought you liked girls with big eyes like DF. And Jean calmly replies, you have big eyes too. Game over. Now Jean's birthday is coming up. Vile tells Lumio this is her chance to figure out if he loves her. Lumio, being Lumio, decides to gift him a t-shirt with some future plans in mind. But since she doesn't know his size, she tries to measure him and ends up way too close again, not helping her situation at all. At the same time, there's a school trip and Jean isn't going, so celebrating his birthday seems impossible. Then we learn something heartbreaking. Jean pulls out a watch, it belonged to his mother, the same mother who abandoned him on his birthday. Yeah, that explains a lot. So Lumio decides she's not going on that trip. She's staying for him. Sitch tries to stop her, but her friend Zal helps her, literally stepping on someone's shoes so Lumio can sneak back into school. She finally reaches Jean to give him his gift. But the teacher catches her. Thinking fast, Lumio grabs Jean and drags him into a dark closet. A wooden board falls, trapping them inside. Their faces inches apart, breathing stops, almost kiss. Again. But of course, the teacher ruins everything and punishes them. Still Lumio explains it's Jean's birthday, and for the first time ever, Jean has a happy birthday, surrounded by people who actually care about him. She gives him a card with a heart and we see a memory. When Jean was a kid in a wheelchair, Lumio gave him a gift back then, too. She's loved him all along, but happiness doesn't last long. Jean's mother suddenly calls, asking him to come live with her in another country, and just like that, old wounds reopen. Jean starts distancing himself from everyone, especially Lumio. At the same time, DF hears that Jean likes girls like her. So she goes all in, getting closer, trying everything. Then a video spreads, DF and Jean appear together in a mirror. And according to some ridiculous school legend, that means they're destined to be eternal lovers. Lumio calls it out immediately fake. With her friends, she plans to expose the lie. She even scares DF by saying a ghost will haunt her forever for lying. That night, Lumio sneaks into school to prove it's all nonsense. But she lied to her dad, who thinks she's safely studying at home. At first, she's fearless. Then, not so much. She gets scared, drops her phone, and Jean finds it, instantly worried something happened to her. He finds her just in time to save her from getting knocked out by a falling box. They fall together, tangled up, legs brushing. Yeah, the tension is real. Lumio tells him she doesn't care about curses anymore, because she's already found her soulmate. And he's right in front of her. Jean, completely speechless. Instead of confessing, he washes her hair. Oddly romantic, slightly confusing, but it works. Later, Jean argues with his father again over his drinking. Lumio brings him home to meet her grandparents, who immediately ship them and say they should just date already. Lumio gets shy. And then drunk. And once she starts talking, there's no stopping her. She compliments his eyes, confesses her feelings, everything just pours out. Jean tries to stop her, but her heart is louder than logic. Still, Jean is scared. The only person who ever loved him, his mother, left him. So in his mind, Lumio will too. Then, one night, Lumio is home alone and suddenly gets severe stomach pain. She calls Jean in panic. he rushes over immediately. She wants an ambulance, but it's not coming. So Jean carries her on his back, in the rain, with a damaged leg, while she softly calls his name. He keeps going, pushing through pain, until his body gives out and he collapses. He tries to get up again, but this time, Sitch arrives and carries her to the hospital. And yeah, Jean feels it. Jealousy, helplessness, but most of all, guilt. He sees his leg as a burden. We also learn something deeper. The accident happened because he ran after his mother the day she abandoned him, and he blames Lumio's father for everything. For his leg, for his life, for not being enough. Desperate, he looks for a doctor to fix his leg, but it's too expensive. He has nothing cool. Then things get worse. The athletics teacher forces him to do physical training like everyone else, ignoring his condition. Lumio is furious. She steps on the teacher's foot in the middle of class, straight up revenge. But Jean stops her, telling her not to defend him publicly. And even apologizes to her. Because of him, the class has to run extra hard, so now everyone hates him even more. He gets punished for hours. But when Lumio sees the teacher pushing everyone to the limit, she snaps and confronts him head-on like a symbol of justice. Later, she finds Jean, but he runs away. Because after everything, especially the fight with her father, he believes she's angry with him. Just when everything feels like it's falling apart, Jean takes back what he said earlier. Because deep down, he realizes something huge. If that accident had never happened, he would have never met Lumio, and to him, she's the best thing that ever happened. Soon after, Lumio gets hurt, and without hesitation, Jean carries her on his back again, like it's second nature now. But when they reach home, reality hits hard. Lumio finds out her parents are getting divorced, and that kind of heartbreak, it doesn't just sting, it shatters you. Jean tries to comfort her, but her sadness is just too heavy. She starts pulling away from him, building walls even he can't climb. Meanwhile, Jean's father spirals even further, losing all his money to gambling. Exhausted and broken, Jean starts thinking maybe the only way out is to go abroad with his mother. Later, Jean walks with Lumio to visit her sick grandfather. In a quiet moment, she asks him if there's something he wants to tell her, and he says nothing. He was this close to giving her a couple's bracelet. But then he overhears his father saying he's leaving the country just to get away from him. It hits deep. His father almost slaps him, but stops at the last second. Jean walks away, holding everything in, and cries alone. Lumio then discovers he's secretly learning English, and now she's not just hurt, she's angry. She confronts him, "Why are you trying to leave so fast?" And Jean finally says it, he needs to go back to his mother to close the wounds of his past. Then things get even more chaotic. Lumio's grandmother goes missing. Panic everywhere. Jean joins the search with her mother. And plot twist, it's Jean's father who saves her from criminals. For the first time, Jean starts seeing his father differently. But Lumio's home's still falling apart. Her parents argue non-stop, and all the pain she's been holding inside finally explodes. All the lies, all the hurt, everything comes out, and then Jean drops the final blow. He's leaving. For real, but her father tries to comfort her, telling her Jean will always be her love. But Lumio doesn't want always in memory. She wants him there. Jean, meanwhile, watches an old birthday video of them together, smiling, happy, cool. Then he quietly says goodbye to the beach where they shared those memories. But when he finally reaches his mother, another heartbreak. She has a new family, and she doesn't even want him to be part of it. Instead, she rents him a separate apartment, far away, like he's just an obligation. That breaks him completely. And in that moment, Jean finally understands, Lumio is the one person who never left him. He remembers the day his mother abandoned him, and how Lumio stayed, comforted him, became his light in the middle of chaos. At the same time, Lumio is falling apart from her parents' divorce. Her friends try to convince Jean to stay, all except Sitch, who secretly wants him gone and literally throws paper airplanes at him like a petty villain. Sitch finally tries to confess his love to Lumio, but his megaphone dies mid-confession. Yeah. Tragic. Jean is just about to tell Lumio he's staying, but before he can, Sitch confesses, and Jean hears it. That's it. He walks away. His friend Fialu takes him to an amusement park, trying to cheer him up, saying, "There's always another girl." And somehow, in that chaos, they become best friends. Meanwhile, Lumio meets Jean one last time and gives him her bracelet, like a goodbye. She walks away, completely shattered. Later, she goes to his secret place, finds his computer, and watches a video. In it, Jean says his childhood was happy because of her, that she gave him the strength to keep going despite everything. But now, he has to say goodbye. Lumio breaks down, screaming that life has no meaning without him, and right then, Jean shows up. She hits him, angry, hurt, overwhelmed, but he tells her the truth. He's staying. He doesn't care about his mother anymore, because she never truly loved him. After that, life slows down for a moment. Lumio's grandfather passes away. At the funeral, something unexpected happens. Her parents reconcile. Because sometimes, life is just better when you walk it with the person you love. Then Jean's mother shows up again, demanding he come back. He refuses. She says he has no future with his father. But Jean finally stands up for himself, reminding her she wasn't even there when he almost died. And with that, he gives her back the watch, and lets her go, this time, for good. Later, he opens up to Lumio about everything. And she understands him completely. From there things start healing. Jean's father changes, he stops drinking, stops gambling. Both families come together, leaving the past behind. For the first time, there's peace. Then life moves forward. Jean goes to university. Lumio gives him a photo of herself, so he'll never forget her. And just like that, they begin a long-distance relationship, which is way harder than they expected. Jean misses her constantly, so one day, he shows up to surprise her. He finds her asleep, calm-ass gently brushes her hair, and when she wakes up, she thinks she's dreaming. Her family notices he looks exhausted, thinner, dark circles, but he brushes it off. The truth is, being away from her is killing him, so he tells her straight up he needs her. She's the love of his life. He wishes her luck for her final exams, but then disaster strikes. She shows up to the exam with the wrong ticket. No entry. Panic. Jean runs to her house, finds the correct ticket, and races back, but traffic is jammed. So what does he do? He grabs the bicycle, the same one Lumio learned to ride for him, and rides like his life depends on it. Just as Lumio is about to give up, he arrives, hands her the ticket, and just like that, hope returns. She hugs him tightly, and he holds on to that moment forever. Lumio passes the exam. She jumps into his arms, because now, she can go study in Beijing with him. Time moves forward again. Jean's father finally opens his dream candy shop, and Jean helps out. Then Lumio gets hurt again, and Jean carries her home, even when she says she can walk. And that's when he admits it. This, right here, being close to you, is how I want to live my whole life. But her mother sees them and disapproves. Jean is older. She wants someone who can protect her daughter from everything. And Jean, he promises to be exactly that. Her protector, her partner, her everything. To prove it, he takes her to the beach. But of course, their friends show up too, ruining his perfect confession plan. They play, laugh, splash water. But Jean's had enough. He asks everyone to leave. Finally, it's just the two of them. Lumio says it's a beautiful day. Jean looks at her and says, "No, you're the beautiful one." He takes her hand, tells her he wants to grow old with her, and right there, they make a promise to love each other no matter what. Years later, Lumio returns to that same beach. For a moment, she thinks Jean didn't come, but he appears, just like always. They've been together for years now, and just like when they were kids, Jean gives her a birthday gift. Looking into her eyes, full of love, he tells her he'll be her warmth in winter, her cool breeze in summer, everything she'll ever need, because once life meant nothing to him. But her love, it turned everything into light. And sometimes, life doesn't shine the way it should, until love walks in, like a fresh breeze, and suddenly, everything feels worth it. Taiji. And that's where this beautiful story comes to an end. So tell me, if you were in Jean's place, would you have stayed for love, or left to chase your past?